of presidential nominations. Crosby will give us an update on what's happening on that front. I believe last week there were a few anomalies. A few people were outside of the specified time within which they had to file their nominations by. We'll get an update here from Crosby. Apologies, we've lost him on the phone lines. We'll raise him back on the telephone lines and get some more on this. Also find out a bit more what's happening with the It Is Possible campaign. That's Dr. Bawumia 2024 campaign.
In the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3FM.
3FM Sunrise. 3FM Sunrise.
Sunrise on 3FM. The best in the morning.
Let's reconnect with Noble Crosby Annan. He'll tell us more about party filings, presidential nominations, and the like. Crosby, good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Line is a little bit faint, but I'm hopeful we'll be able to hear you clearly. Yes, can you hear me clearly? Hello, Crosby, are you able to hear me? Okay, a few challenges with the line. I know Crosby has been crisscrossing the length and breadth, but we'll try and raise him again on the phone lines. Do sit tight for us. That last Friday was the last day for presidential aspirants to file their nomination. At times a charm. Let's try this one more time. Crosby, good morning to you.
Good morning, Helen.
Much better. Great to hear your voice. How are you doing this morning?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic. You've been a very busy man in the last few days and, in fact, week. Well, we know that as it stood last Friday, out of 33 aspirants who'd picked up forms, 15 had successfully returned the forms to the EC, barring a few anomalies, if you will. Tell us how Friday wrapped up at the Electoral Commission. What do we now know? What are the final numbers?
Right. So, you know that last week was a very busy week for the Electoral Commission because all the presidential aspirants who picked forms were expected to return the forms they picked.
That's right.
Now, what we know is that about 33 persons or a person representing political parties, they picked forms wanting to contest for the highest office of the land, and I'm talking about the presidency. Now, on Friday, the commission concluded the filing process for the presidential aspirants. You know that the process started on September 9 and ended on September 13, which was Friday. Now, if you like, you could put it like 24 persons out of the 33 candidates, they successfully submitted their documents for the contest to become president of the country. 24 out of the 33, they were able to submit their documents. However, two of them, and the two I'm talking about, the PPP and an independent candidate, Dr. Ni Amodako. These individuals, or these independent candidates and the Progressive People's Party, they submitted the form when the Electoral Commission had announced that they had closed the process, the filing process. It was almost immediately when the Electoral Commission announced that we have come to the end of the process. That's when PPP and Dr. Ni Amodako submitted their form. However, the Electoral Commission received the forms of these persons, and the commission said that they will determine what next lines of action will be, whether their forms will be accepted or not. Particularly, a deputy commissioner in charge of operations, I'm talking about Mr. Samuel Tete, he was emphatic that They are submitting this after 5. They will receive it and indicate the time they submitted it, and then the commission will take a decision on what happens to them. So that was what happened on Friday. But
Right.
so far, we have 24 persons who submitted their documents. 22 submitted it before the closing time. 2 submitted after the commission had announced that they had closed. However, their forms were accepted. Now, we're picking information that the commission has accepted the forms of these 2 individuals, and I'm talking about the PPP and the independent candidate, Dr. Ni Amosa.
I see. So is that fresh information reaching you, Crosby, that these 2 aspirants who fell out of the time? So I recall that they indicated that they were actually at the EC offices before 5 p.m. However, they didn't actually present until after 5 p.m. You're saying the EC has allowed those 2 nomination forms to be accepted?
Yes, that's the information we're picking at the moment, that the EC has accepted their nomination. However, they will add up to the entire 24 candidates who filed their nominations, and then the commission has begun already scrutiny and vetting of the documents, and the commission will determine what's next. I don't know if you want us to talk about what next the commission will do.
Yes, do tell us. Tell us what happens next.
So, while receiving the nomination forms, the chairperson of the commission, Gina Mensah, and in her absence, the deputy commissioner in charge of operations, Samuel Tete, in the receipt of the documents, they made it clear that 2 teams, subsequent to the 2020 elections, have been set up. And these 2 teams, they are made up of their technical committee and the IT committee. Now, what they're supposed to do is to ensure that the documents that these politicians or these individuals who want to become president have submitted are thoroughly vetted and scrutinized. So you know that one of the requirements, the tax clearance certificate, the 2 voters from every registered district of the Electoral Commission to add up to it so that they are able to submit their documents. So these individuals, these candidates, they went through the country, they went to every district to get 2 signatories from every district. What the commission will do is that these technical committee, they will ensure that the documents submitted are vetted, scrutinized properly. So it means these individuals who signed, these 2 signatories who signed for every candidate in every district, they are registered voters in the area where they signed at. So that means that if maybe I signed for Party A as a signatory concerning the person's candidature in the Ayawaso North maybe district, I cannot, number 1, sign for another candidate, and then number 2, my name should not appear on the electoral roll outside the district signed for. These are some of the technicalities they will be looking for, and will be done by the IT and the technical teams. The commission has charged these teams to go by the law. They should not exercise discretion. So they are going to judge based on what the documents are said. The commission has, however, given chances to these candidates to make some corrections if there are any.
Right.
But it depends on the kind of corrections to be made. Minor corrections can be made. For instance, when we're there, Ghana Union Movement, the Soko Chaboso, for instance, he came subsequently after his forms were submitted on his behalf. He came to do a few corrections, a few signatures here and there. So the commission allows for that.
Okay.
And then the decision will be taken.
So the rules, they're very stringent indeed. And so as you are making us aware with who can actually sign and all of that, what other disqualifying factors do you think the EC is likely to focus on during the vetting process? Does anything stand out to you at the moment?
Well, it's all going to be based on what the Constitution says and what the new CI for elections talk about. For instance, if you're not 40 years and above, you cannot be. So if the commission, through their committees, through their investigations, find out that you are not 40 years and above, it means you cannot. If in your documentation you refuse to state who your vice president will be, it means you will not be able to. And then most importantly, if you do not have the signatories from all the districts in the country, you will not be allowed to be. So as a tax clearance certificate and approval from your political party or otherwise. So these are some of the things that the commission will be basing on to either accept or reject some of these candidates if it happens that there needs to be some rejections. Bear in mind that in the previous elections, I understand there were 17 people who filed their nominations to contest to become president, and at the end of the day, 12 people made it onto the ballot paper in that election.
Right.
So this time we're having 24 so far. After investigating, vetting, and scrutiny, the commission will decide on who will appear on the ballot paper.
Absolutely.
I should also say that there's been concerns that the commission has interest in reducing the number of applicants or number of aspirants who appear on the ballot paper. That has been vehemently denied by the Electoral Commission. In fact, Dr. Bosman, a deputy commissioner of the commission, he says that the commission has no interest in that. If at the end of the process 200 people file to become president and they are vetted with the same marking scheme, if 100 people qualify, 100 of them will make it onto the ballot paper. The commission has no interest not to reduce the numbers, just as the law says, the requirements of the law that the commission will use to either approve or reject these aspirants.
Right. Now, I'm not sure if you've been able to test the temperature as it will, and I'm talking about the public's reaction to the nomination process. Is there any sense of maybe frustration or optimism about the seemingly high number of aspirants? Of course, we know that the EC may have to trim down those numbers based on the rules and regulations, but have you got a sense that maybe the people of Ghana think this number is too high, or have you not tested that pulse quite yet?
You know, Helen, there are a few dynamics to this filing process and the kind of candidates who have come to file to become president of the country. Now, if you look at the dynamics, one of them is the trend of independent candidates, and the other is the low female involvement in the 2024 presidential race. Now, let's start with the independent candidates. They, in fact, seem to have stolen the spotlight in the presidential filing process. So, in the 2024 elections, the presidential filing process, independent candidates, they outnumbered those from recognized political parties.
Right.
And they captured the nation's attention. And if you like, it is signaling a growing shift in the country's political landscape. So now you know that 13 out of the 22 applicants, the 24 applicants standing as independent candidates. And these candidates, they made strong statement about the evolving nature of Ghanaian politics, where individuals, not just established party figures, are stepping up to lead the country. So a mix of political heavyweights and lesser-known contenders. We know that while figures like Dr. Baumia, the MPP, and John Dramani of the NDC, they were early favorites, the unprecedented number of independent candidates signaled a potential desire amongst, if you like, some Ghanaians for alternatives outside the traditional political parties or the political structures. Growing independent movements, notable businessmen, and political activists. The rest, if you like, independent candidates from Alan Shamati, who broke away from the NTP, to businessman Nana Kwame Bediako, also known as Cheddar, to a lot of other independent candidates, Kofi Kranteng, Dr. Sam Ankra. They have all echoed calls for change, criticizing the failures of traditional political parties in addressing key issues like unemployment, economic instability, and leadership inefficiency. So even more intriguing, if you like, was the inclusion of Janet Tassananabla, who also broke away from the PNC. Well, she is the lone female independent candidate, and she voiced strong concerns about the nomination process complexity and the need for digital reform. So that's it for the dynamic on independent candidates. There's also the bit about female participation. And you know that it is quite low. So as that's settled, one glaring fact remains that women's involvement in Ghana's presidential elections is still low. Out of the candidates who successfully filed the nominations, only 3 are women, Helen.
So this is the 3 out of the 24?
Yes, 3 out of the 24, exactly.
I see. I see. Some interesting perspectives there that you've shared with us. Now, what's the timelines then for the EC? They've received and accepted these 24 filings. They say they're working assiduously to either clear or ask for more information. How much time does the EC have to finally complete this process?
Well, Helen, I should tell you that within this week, and I'm thinking either by close of day tomorrow or on Wednesday, the Commission will announce which of the parties have made it to the next stage of the process, and which of the parties or candidates, after vetting and scrutiny of their documents, have qualified to move to the next stage of the process. And the next stage will be the balloting process.
Right.
So the balloting will determine which position each candidate is getting on the ballot paper, and that will also reflect in all the constituencies of the country. So, for instance, at the presidential level, if the Electoral Commission, for instance, during the ballot, if Party A picks number 1 and Party B picks number 2, what happens is that in all the constituencies in the country, if you have the candidates for parliamentary elections from Party A, because they pick if they pick number 1, it means they'll be number 1 on the ballot paper in their constituency as well. So then the Commission will also furnish these parties or these individuals with a register after the exhibition process or the cleaning process, if you like. And then eventually they will all add up to build momentum to the general election on December 7th.
Now, Crosby, we know that you've also been crisscrossing Ghana with the Dr. Bawumia 2024 campaign team. Tell us, what has the momentum been like? Is it picking up? Is it slowing down?
Oh, well, it is obviously picking up. A lot of people, wherever the vice president goes, Helen, there are a lot of cheers and applause for the vice president, who's also the flag bearer of the NPP. As I speak, the team is on their way to the Amasaman constituency, where the vice president is expected to meet and greet some traders around the Ajin Kotoku onion market. After that, the vice president is also expected to travel from Ajin Kotoku to Amasaman, another meet and greet at the Amasaman market. Is to have the stakeholders engagement around the ICGC Shalom Temple in Amasaman, and then travel to 3 junction meet and greet and all of that. So after the Amasaman constituency, the vice president, before that, you hold a community connect engagement. That's what he has been doing. All the constituencies that he visits, he engages with the community members. They talk to him, tell them their challenges. He assures them what his government will do if voted into power. After the Amasaman constituency, the vice president is expected to visit Iowa North constituency, and then Iowa East constituency. So these 3 constituencies, they are on the itinerary of the vice president today, Helen.
Right. Now, what would you say has been the key message of the Bawumia 2024 campaign so far? And from where you sit, how is it resonating with voters?
Well, obviously, sitting with, if you like, NPP supporters, so the message sits very well with them. He's trumpeting what he will do in terms of tax cuts or tax amnesty. The last time he was on a tour of the Greater Accra region, he spoke about reducing electricity tariffs and all of that. He's also championing his digitalization agenda, saying that Ghana has taken the lead in most parts of the world, even a lot of countries across Europe, even the US and the UK. Ghana's address system is the best. He's highlighting the achievements of the NPP government in terms of health infrastructure, agriculture, education, the free senior high school, for instance. He's mentioning it a lot. He's also talking about how his government, the NPP government, I should say, has been able to overcome global challenges, COVID-19, Russia-Ukraine war, to ensure that the economy is stable. And then he's asking that he be voted for to become president, because he will now be tasked to report back to the various constituencies, various communities, because he's looking for an 8-year term to come and talk to them about the achievements and the challenges. But if they vote for the opposition, I'm talking about the NDC, Mr. Mahama will not visit these constituencies again because he's only going for a 4-year term. So essentially, he's just saying that vote for me. I'm a new face. I mean, he's making this analogy of a tried of a home use and a brand new appliance, if you like. And he's asking the people what they want, and the people are saying that they want brand new,
aka
second-hand
Tiara Crosby, as it's commonly referred to as. But Crosby, on the issue of the economy, we know Dr. Bawumia has built much of his image on his economic prowess. How is he addressing critique regarding Ghana's current economic difficulties as part of his campaign, or has that not been a key highlight as he's been campaigning?
Well, being part of the tour, Helen, I should say that has not come out so clearly like that. There are other experts that the Vice President focuses on. He's talking about tax. He's talking about increasing the livelihoods of people. I mean, they all bother on the economy, but he has not specifically spoken about the conditions of living, the standards of living, the CD, the dollar ratio. These have not come up so much, but I mean, in all the engagements, he tries to paint a very good picture of the NPP government to the electorate.
Now, outside of the NPP party, of course, who are the key figures supporting Dr. Bawumia's campaign? Are there any influential endorsements that you would say have made a difference in this particular campaign?
Well, we've seen a lot of support from people within the NPP. For instance, the Greater Accra Regional Tour, wherever the Vice President is going, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Titus Glover, is with him. You've also seen the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the NPP Chairman, Otu whom is also with him, as well as the constituency. He visits there with the parliamentary candidate of the party for the various constituencies. Also getting support from some people in the entertainment industry. So
that's right.
Usually he ends the tour with a rally, and that sees some top entertainers in the country, Samini, for instance, Guru, for instance, Philippa Beatty, for instance. They all come, shake the crowd a little bit, charge the crowd a little bit. Then some other government appointees, they come, if you like, sort of campaign for the Vice President, asking people to vote for him. At the Dominic constituency, Dom Kwabea constituency, for instance, when the Vice President ended his tour in one of them, you saw the Guru come light up the crowd so much in the evening. It was almost like a party, if you like. And then Samini was also there. Philippa Beatty also passed through, as well as some other entertainers. But throughout all of that, the Vice President and his campaign team, they are very setting to push the message of the MPP to the charging crowd.
I see. A lot of entertainment, you would say, being used in this campaign. Do you think that's enough draw for the youth? I've heard from Beatrice Annan of the NDC, for example, that is key. She says that's a key tool that the NPP is using to attract the youth. Do you see that working? Are the youth enjoying what the NPP is putting out, entertainment-wise?
A few things there. There are various strategies that these politicians will employ to win power, for instance. And the one thing you should also know is that these entertainers, they have following. Samini has a huge following.
That's right.
Guru has a huge following. They all have followings. They're using the King Paluta song point. So if I am an ardent follower of maybe Samini, and I realize that my idol, Samini, is supporting the flag bearer of the MPP, it sort of suggests that I will also tend to follow where my idol is going and also vote for the MPP. This is a strategy. So during the campaigns where these people are thinking, maybe you do not want to listen to the political talk, you're more of the entertainment type. So if you see such entertainers of the platform, you're tempted to come, and then eventually you'd hear some of the policies he has, and then you may be convinced to vote for the flag bearer. just in case it happens. But there are also those who say that this does not translate directly into votes. So it depends on where you're looking at, where you're standing at, whether these strategies will work for the parties or not. It depends on what measures you're using to gauge the mood or the reception of the electorate and what you think the influence of these entertainers will be on election day. You know, in the previous elections, we've had songs from top politicians.
That's right.
For Nanado, for Mahama, for Atta Mills, the late Mills, all of them. Some work, some do not. You know, famous song for Nanado in the previous election, in the 2012 elections, for instance, that did not go for him. So you never know.
Crosby, we're wrapping up shortly on this conversation. It is some 5 minutes to the top of the hour, 9 a.m. Noble Crosby and my colleague here giving us some insight into the Bawumia 2024 campaign. Hashtag it is possible. Crosby, finally, what can we expect from the Dr. Bawumia campaign in the coming weeks and months leading up to the elections? Any significant events or milestones to look forward to?
Well, on the itinerary, what we know is it's going to continue his tour of some other constituencies in the Greater Accra region and extend the tour to other constituencies outside the Greater Accra region, just essentially to push the message of the NPP, to push the message of himself, so that electorates will vote for him. Significant ones will be major visits to major constituencies, rank constituencies or MPP affiliated constituencies, just to solidify the base of the campaign, Helen.
Fantastic. Crosby, thank you so much for that very comprehensive update. I'm sure we'll be touching base shortly to get more insight into the next steps that the EC will take as far as these presidential nominations are concerned. Do stay safe. We'll connect with you again.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Noble Crosby Annan here at Media General, giving us some much needed updates and insight.
92.7.
Oh God, I wish I had an answer.
And another update there. Well, the first update that Crosby gave us, now we know some 24 parties and or independent candidates have put their presidential aspirations to the fore. The forms have been filled, 24 of them received and accepted. That's the update from Friday by the EC. And checks are being carried out as we speak. Noble Crosby Annan suggesting that this week we should have a definitive answer from the EC on what the next steps are. He's been crisscrossing the country with the Dr. Bawumia 2024 campaign team. Hashtag it is possible, giving us some much needed insights. He says the campaign is raging on, with Dr. Bawumia outlining what he has in store for the people of Ghana. Do keep engaging with us on our socials. We love hearing from you. All your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, they're absolutely welcome. This is the best breakfast show in all of the land. This is 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
I heard you cry. Oh God, I heard
3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
This is 3FM 92.7, your election command center.